Welcome to your personalized deep dive. Today we're tackling Spanish directions.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, you requested a fun way to learn how to ask for and give directions in Spanish.
I did.
So we're using this YouTube video by a Spanish teacher, Jaime Lara. He's got a lot of really good stuff in here.
Sounds good.
And get this, we're going to learn a very unique Spanish expression that basically means you are really lost.
Okay.
But first, okay, let's unpack this. Let's imagine you're in a Spanish-speaking city.
Right.
And you're totally turned around. What's the best way to approach someone for help?
Well, before we even get into the directions themselves, there is a cultural element to keep in mind, which is politeness.
Right, and Jaime really emphasizes this in the video. He
Yeah.
says you have to start with perdón, which means, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Right, like acknowledging that you're interrupting someone's day.
Yeah.
It's like adding, could you help me? So it's not just about the words themselves, it's about the intention behind the words.
Exactly. So after that polite perdón, you have several options for asking for directions. A straightforward one is ¿dónde está?,
Right.
which means where is.
Okay, so that's perfect if you need to know the location of something specific.
Yes. But if you need more detailed instructions on how to get somewhere, you might use ¿cómo se llega a?,
Okay.
which translates to how do I get to? So it's not just a location, you're looking for a route.
Right, right. And then there's a super polite option, ¿me puede indicar cómo llegar a?
Exactly.
Which is good to know if you're talking to someone older or in a more formal setting.
It is.
Okay, so that was ¿me puede indicar
¿Cómo llegar a?
cómo llegar a? Okay, so we've got options for different levels of formality.
Yes.
But Jaime also mentions this more informal phrase, ¿por dónde ca? That one caught my eye. What's the story behind that one?
Well, that one is interesting. It uses the verb caer, which means to fall.
Okay.
But in this context, it's like asking, where does this place fall? Where does this place fall in relation to everything else?
It's more like you're asking for a general sense of where something is located.
Exactly. It's more casual and playful.
Got it, got it.
So you probably wouldn't use it with a stranger on the street. But it's a good one to know for like friends and family.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of asking for directions. Now let's flip the script and talk about giving directions.
Okay, let's do it.
The video starts with some pretty straightforward instructions like sigue recto, for go straight,
Yeah.
and gira a la derecha izquierda for turn right left.
Right.
Those are the building blocks. But then things get a little more interesting when you throw in roundabouts,
They do.
which Jaime mentioned are super common in Spain. So how do you navigate those in Spanish?
Well, roundabouts or rotondas might seem daunting, but the language for them is actually pretty straightforward.
Okay.
You would use phrases like toma la primera segunda salida, which means take the first second exit.
And speaking of that phrase, there was a little note in the video about some regional differences.
Oh, yeah.
Even something as basic as take the exit can vary, depending on where you are in the Spanish-speaking world.
Right. Hemi pointed out that in Spain, you're more likely to hear toma la salida, but in Latin America, it's coge la salida.
Huh. That's fascinating.
It is. It's fascinating how one language can evolve and adapt.
Yeah, like how we say soda in some parts of the U.S. and pop in others.
Exactly. Different words, same meaning.
Okay, but let's get back to the roundabouts. What if you need to tell someone to go straight through one?
That's easy. You would simply say, sigue recto en la rotonda, which means go straight at the roundabout. So imagine you're standing at a roundabout and you need to tell someone to take the third exit. You would say, toma la tercera salida. You see, not so intimidating after all.
Okay, that makes sense. But honestly, even with street names, I get lost sometimes. What if I need to give directions that are more specific and use street names?
That's a great question. And Spanish has you covered there too. You can guide someone by saying, coge la primera segunda, a la derecha izquierda. So that's take the first second street on the right left. Or gira en la primera segunda calle a la derecha izquierda. Turn at the first second street on the right left.
Okay, so those phrases are key for navigating those streets where every corner looks the same.
Exactly.
It's like having a verbal map.
Right. And it shows how Spanish directions often focus on very clear and concise instructions.
Yes. But then there was this one part of the video that made me really stop and think. It talked about going up or down a street, but not literally, right? Like he talked about using the verbs bajar, which means to go down, and subir, which means to go up. But it wasn't about actual hills or inclines.
It's not, no. And that's what's so interesting about it. It's this unique aspect of Spanish directions that reflects a different way of thinking about streets. It's not about the physical slope, but the direction of the traffic flow or the way street numbers increase.
So you could say go down a street, even if it's completely flat, just because that's the way the numbers go or the traffic flows.
You got it. It's like a metaphorical up or down.
It's a good example of how language can be both literal and figurative.
It is. And Jamie gives this very helpful example. He says, baja la calle mayor hasta el semáforo. This means to go down calle mayor, even if it's level until you reach the traffic light.
Okay. That example really helps clarify things. I can see how that would be super useful in a city where street numbers are a primary way of navigating.
Yeah.
It's like this built-in system for understanding direction.
It is. It's fascinating.
It is. And it really shows how something as simple as directions can be packed with these cultural nuances.
Absolutely.
Speaking of cultural nuances, I am dying to learn about that expression that Shami mentioned, the one that means you are really lost.
Of course. But first, let's put everything we've learned into practice.
Okay.
Jamie includes this really great scenario in his video involving an airport and a bakery.
Ooh, a bakery.
Are you ready to try it out?
All right, I'm game. I think I'm ready for this bakery challenge.
Excellent. So imagine you've just arrived at the airport in a Spanish-speaking city and you're craving something sweet.
I can relate to that.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the nearest bakery using Himi's map.
Sounds delicious. I'm already picturing those pastries. Okay, listener, let's do this together. Where do we start?
Okay, so according to Himi's map, the first step is to exit the airport and sigue todo recto por la calle Serrano. That means to go straight on calle Serrano.
Okay, so far so good. It's like we're walking out of the arrival terminal and following the main road. What's next?
Then you'll coche la primera a la izquierda. Take the first left. And this is where all those directional phrases we learned are really going to come in handy.
Okay, so we're turning left onto Avenida Andalucia, if I'm reading this map correctly. What's the best way to tell someone to continue down that street?
You could say, sigue recto en la Avenida Andalucía, which means go straight on Avenida Andalucía. And it's important to be clear and concise, especially if the person you're giving directions to is unfamiliar with the area.
Right. We don't want them wandering off in the wrong direction. Okay, so we're going straight on Avenida Andalucia. What's the next landmark we need to look out for?
According to the map, you'll need to coge la primera a la derecha. Take the first right. That will lead you onto Calle Malaga.
Calle Malaga. Okay, I'm marking that on my mental map. What do we do once we're on that street?
Next, you'd instruct them to sigue recto por la calle Malaga, which means continue straight on calle Malaga. And this is where those basic directional phrases are so important. They really provide a framework for navigating the city.
And Jaime emphasizes how important it is to not just rely on distances, but to use landmarks, right?
Exactly.
Like it's much more helpful to say, turn right at the bakery than turn right in 50 meters.
Right. It gives people a visual reference point,
Yeah.
and it just makes the directions easier to follow.
Yeah, it's like you're creating a story with your directions, using those landmarks as guideposts along the way. Okay, so we're continuing straight on Calle Malaga. Where does that lead us?
You'll eventually reach Calle Soria, and this is where the bakery comes into play.
Yeah.
You'd say a mano izquierda en la Calle Soria. On the left side of Calle Soria, you'll find the bakery.
Success. We made it to the bakery without getting lost. And we even practiced using a variety of directional phrases along the way. I'm feeling pretty proud of myself, and I bet our listener is too.
It's a great feeling, isn't it? And it shows that with a little practice, anyone can give directions in Spanish. But, it's not just about memorizing the phrases. What I find fascinating is how this exercise highlights the Spanish language's emphasis on clarity and courtesy.
Yeah. Remember how Jaime stressed the importance of starting with perdón?
Yes.
That simple word really goes a long way in setting a polite and respectful tone, even before you get into the actual directions.
Exactly. It's a small gesture that speaks volumes about cultural values.
Right.
It's like saying, I value your time and I appreciate your help.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, when you're giving directions, the emphasis is on providing clear and concise instructions.
Yeah.
So the other person can easily understand and follow them.
It's all about making the experience as smooth and pleasant as possible for both parties.
Yes.
But what about those times when you need to give more general guidance? Like, let's say someone is heading in the right direction, but they haven't quite reached their destination yet. How would you encourage them in Spanish?
Oh, that's a great question. Spanish has got you covered there, too. You could say, vas bien, which means you're going the right way. Or to be a bit more encouraging, you could say, vas por buen camino, which translates to you're on the right track.
Ah, so it's like giving someone a verbal pat on the back.
Exactly, reassuring them that they're headed in the right direction.
But what if someone's going in the completely wrong direction? How do you gently steer them back on course?
Well, you could start by saying vas mal, which simply means you're going the wrong way. Or to be a bit more specific, you can say no vas por buen camino, which translates to you're not on the right track.
Okay, those are definitely good to know. It's all about providing clear feedback, whether positive or negative, to help someone find their way. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Spanish seems to have a phrase for just about every directional scenario.
That's the beauty of language. It's constantly evolving to meet our needs and express the nuances of human interaction. But as we learn more and more phrases, it's important to remember that context is key.
You mean like how some phrases are more formal than others, or how certain verbs might be preferred in different regions?
Exactly. We talked earlier about the difference between tomar and coger when talking about roundabout exits. Tomar is more common in Spain, while coger is preferred in Latin America. It's a subtle difference, but it highlights the richness and diversity of the Spanish language.
It's a good reminder that language is a living thing, and it's always changing and adapting.
It is.
And that there's always more to learn, even when it comes to something as seemingly straightforward as directions.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, I'm curious, do you remember that challenge Jaime gave in the video? He asked us to give directions from the bakery back to the airport. Do you think you could retrace our steps and guide us back using everything we've learned?
Ooh, reverse challenge. I love it. Okay, let me gather my thoughts here. So we're starting at the bakery, our happy place filled with delicious pastries, and our goal is to get back to the airport.
Precisely. But remember, this time we're taking Chami's challenge to heart. We're going to rely on landmarks and directional cues just like a local would. No street names allowed.
Okay, challenge accepted. Let's see. If I'm picturing the map correctly, we'd first need to exit the bakery and bajar la calle Soria y la calle Malaga. That means to go down those streets, right?
Yes, but remember we're using bahar here in that metaphorical sense we talked about earlier. It's not about the streets literally slowing downward, but rather following the flow of street numbers or the direction of traffic.
Right. That concept is starting to click for me now. It's like an internal compass that helps you understand the layout of the city. Okay, so we've gone down those streets. What's next?
Think about what you see on the map. What's a prominent landmark near those streets?
Let me visualize it. Ah, I've got it. We need to tell them to sigue todo recto, continue straight ahead until they reach Avenida Andalucía.
Excellent. You're using your spatial awareness and those key landmarks to guide the way. It's just like Jaime emphasized in the video.
Now for the tricky part,
Okay.
at the end of Calle Malaga, take the first left. That should put us back on Avenida Andalucía.
Perfect. You're navigating those streets like a true local. Now, how would you tell someone to continue on Avenida Andalucía towards the airport without mentioning the street name?
Let me think. Aha. I remember Jaime talking about how Spaniards often use prominent buildings or structures as reference points. So we could say something like, sigue todo recto por la avenida hasta que veas el gran edificio de que está a tu derecha. Continue straight on the avenue until you see the large glass building on your right.
That's brilliant. You've picked up on a subtle but important aspect of Spanish directions. Using descriptive landmarks not only makes the directions more vivid, but it also shows a deeper understanding of the local environment.
And if I remember correctly, the airport is just a short walk from that big glass building, right? So we could simply say, el aeropuerto está a pocos pasos de ahí, which means the airport is a short walk from there.
Bravo. You've successfully guided us back to the airport using clear, concise directions and incorporating those cultural nuances we've discussed. I'm truly impressed.
High five. It's amazing how much we've covered in this deep dive. We've gone from feeling like complete beginners to confidently navigating a Spanish-speaking city, all thanks to Jaime Lara's video and your expert guidance.
It's a testament to the power of focused learning and the effectiveness of immersive experiences. And speaking of immersive experiences, remember that uniquely Spanish expression we were getting to learn, the one that means you're really lost.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that in all the excitement of our bakery adventure. I'm dying to know what it is.
Well, drum roll, please. The expression is estar más perdido que el barco del arroz, which literally translates to be more lost than the rice boat.
The rice boat. That's amazing. It paints such a vivid picture in my mind. It's like you're saying you're so lost, you're adrift at sea with a boat full of rice. No compass, no map, just rice as far as the eye can see.
It's a wonderfully quirky and memorable expression, isn't it? And it perfectly captures that feeling of utter disorientation.
Hmm.
But even if you do find yourself feeling like that proverbial rice boat, at least you now have the tools and the confidence to ask for directions and find your way back.
Exactly. And we've also gained a deeper appreciation for the Spanish language and culture along the way. It's been such an enriching experience. But I'm curious, now that we've mastered the basics, where do we go from here? What are some other aspects of Spanish directions that we could explore?
That's a great question. I think the possibilities are endless. We could delve deeper into regional variations in vocabulary and pronunciation, explore how to give directions using public transportation, or even learn how to describe different types of terrain and landscapes.
Ooh, I love that. Imagine being able to describe a winding mountain road or a bustling city square using vivid Spanish vocabulary. It would be like bringing your travel experiences to life through language.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even get to experience those places firsthand and put our newfound knowledge to the test. But for now, I think we've given our listener a fantastic foundation in Spanish directions. They're well on their way to navigating the Spanish-speaking world with confidence and ease.
Absolutely. So, to our listener who has been on this journey with us, we say felicidades. Congratulations. You've taken a deep dive into Spanish directions and come out on the other side with a wealth of knowledge and a newfound appreciation for the beauty and complexity of language.
And remember, the best way to truly master any language is to use it. So don't be shy, strike up conversations, ask for directions, and embrace the adventure of exploring the Spanish-speaking world.
And if you ever do find yourself feeling a bit lost, just remember that you're in good company. Even the most seasoned travelers can sometimes feel más perdido que el barco del arroz. But with a little practice, a sense of humor, and the knowledge you've gained from this deep dive, you'll be navigating those Spanish streets like a pro in no time.
Until next time, happy exploring.
Adiós!